The ballroom was covered in twinkling white lights and silver decorations. It was my husband Daniel's company Christmas party. I stood beside him in my new dress, feeling a little nervous. All around us, women were talking about their jobs. One was a vice president at a bank. Another was a senior lawyer. Daniel squeezed my hand a little too tight. When it was our turn to introduce ourselves, he spoke for me. "This is my wife, Chloe," he said with a laugh. "She keeps busy as a hostess at a little spot downtown. Gets her out of the house." The women gave me polite, pitying smiles. I felt my face grow warm with embarrassment. The drive home was quiet and cold. I clenched the steering wheel, my knuckles white. Daniel talked about his boss's new car. He didn't mention the party again. But his words replayed in my head. A little spot downtown. He had no idea. The restaurant, the December Rose, was not just a little spot. And I was not just a hostess. 5 years ago, after my grandmother passed away, she left me a small inheritance. I used it to become the majority owner of the restaurant. I kept it a secret from Daniel. I knew he would try to take over or belittle my dream. So I just worked there, learning every part of the business from the ground up. A week later, Daniel was excited. He told me he was taking his most important client, Mr. Hill, to dinner. "I'm taking him to a classy place to close this deal," he said, buttoning his expensive shirt. "I need to impress him." He didn't tell me the name of the restaurant. The next evening, I was at work at the December Rose. I was checking the reservation list on the computer screen. A new booking popped up. Hill, party of 2. 7:30 p.m. My heart sank down to my shoes. It was for that night. Daniel was bringing his client here, to my restaurant. At 7:25, they walked in. Daniel looked confident and sharp in his suit. Mr. Hill was an older man with a serious face. I took a deep breath and walked forward with 2 menus in my hands. "Good evening," I said, my voice professional and calm. Daniel looked right at me. There was not a single flicker of recognition in his eyes. He looked through me as if I were a stranger, just part of the restaurant. "Hill party," he said, his tone dismissive. "Table for 2. I simply nodded. "Right this way," I said, and led them to a prime table in the center of the dining room. I made sure their server knew they were VIPs. I went over to pour their first glasses of water myself. As I leaned forward to fill Daniel's glass, he turned to Mr. Hill. He spoke in a clear, carrying voice. "You know, some people are just comfortable in these service roles," he said, gesturing slightly toward me. "They have no vision for anything more. It's kind of sad, really." Mr. Hill gave an awkward, low chuckle. My hand holding the water pitcher shook slightly. But I did not spill a single drop. I finished pouring, gave a small, professional smile, and walked away. I pushed through the swinging doors into the kitchen. It was my sanctuary, warm and bustling. The manager, Ben, was tasting a sauce. He saw my face immediately. "Chloe, what's wrong?" he asked. "What did he do now?" Ben knew about Daniel's attitude. He had seen my tired eyes after other comments. I just shook my head, unable to speak. Tears of anger and hurt welled up in my eyes. I turned away to look at the order tickets, pretending to be busy. After the restaurant closed, I asked Ben and our head chef, Antonio, to stay. We sat at a quiet corner table. I finally told them the whole truth. I told them I was the majority owner. I told them about Daniel's mockery at the party and tonight at table 7. Ben listened, his face growing hard. Antonio shook his head slowly. Ben finally spoke. "It's time," he said firmly, slapping his hand on the table. "It's time he learns who really runs this place. Enough hiding." We devised a plan over cups of strong coffee. It wasn't a mean plan. It was a powerful one. We would create an event. A Christmas Eve gala, a single, exclusive 7-course tasting menu. We would only sell 50 tickets. It would be the hottest ticket in the city's holiday scene. The goal was to make Daniel desperately want to be there. And then, I would reveal the truth in the most public way possible. Ben smiled for the first time all night. He wants to see important people? He'll see you. The next 2 weeks were a whirlwind. I worked day and night on the gala. I planned the menu with Antonio, choosing luxurious seasonal ingredients. I worked with a sommelier on perfect wine pairings. I designed the invitations and the marketing. At home, Daniel just saw me coming back late, tired. "Those holiday shifts are really burning you out," he complained one night. "It's just a hostess job." He missed the irony completely. I was not tired from shifts. I was building an empire. Part of the plan was creating mystery. Ben called a food critic he was friendly with. He casually mentioned that the anonymous owner of the December Rose would be unveiling a bold new vision at the Christmas Eve event. The critic included the tease in her weekly column. Within days, the buzz started. Everyone in town was talking about the secret owner and the impossible-to-get gala tickets. Daniel came home from work buzzing with the news. "You'll never believe it," he said. "My boss is trying to get tickets to this crazy Christmas Eve dinner at some restaurant. The December Rose, of all places. Only 50 seats. It's where every big deal will happen that night. We have to go." He was frantic, already seeing it as a business necessity. He had no idea I was the gatekeeper. He started calling the restaurant the next day. I heard him from his office. "Yes, hello, this is Daniel Bennett. I need 2 tickets for your Christmas Eve event." "What do you mean the waitlist is closed?" "Let me speak to a manager." My staff, following Ben's instructions, were politely firm. "I'm sorry, sir. The guest list is finalized by the owner. We are fully committed." He called every day, trying different angles, name-dropping his clients. Every time, the answer was the same. No. 2 days before Christmas Eve, Daniel burst through our front door, his face triumphant. He waved his phone at me. "I got them. I got us in. I finally called in a huge favor with a wine distributor I know. He talked to the manager personally. We're on the list." He was beaming with pride. I just smiled. I knew Ben had finally relented and added Daniel's name to the list, exactly according to our plan. Daniel thought he had won a battle. He was actually walking into a trap he built himself. On the afternoon of Christmas Eve, I laid out my dress. It was a stunning, simple black gown. It was elegant and powerful. Daniel looked at it as he put on his tuxedo. "Black on Christmas Eve," he said, frowning. "Not very festive." I just smiled at him in the mirror. "It's perfect for the host," I said calmly. He didn't catch the double meaning at all. He just shrugged and straightened his tie, already thinking about the clients he might impress. The December Rose was transformed. Candles flickered on every surface. Fresh pine garlands draped the walls, filling the air with a sweet scent. Soft, classical music played. It was magical. Daniel strutted in, his eyes scanning the room for important faces. He saw me standing near the entrance, where a hostess would normally stand. He nodded at me as he passed. "At least you got a good shift tonight," he whispered, patting my arm. He didn't wait for a response before moving toward the champagne. A server guided us to our table. It was the best one in the house, right in the center of the room. Daniel looked around, pleased, believing his influence had scored this prime spot. He didn't notice how the staff watched me. He didn't see the slight nods from Ben or Antonio from across the room. He was too busy feeling like a king who had arrived at his castle. Once everyone was seated, Ben stepped to the front of the room. He tapped a spoon gently against a champagne glass. The room fell silent. "Welcome, everyone, to the December Rose's first Christmas Eve gala," he began. He thanked the guests for coming. He praised the hard work of the staff. He complimented Antonio's genius. Then he paused. "And finally," he said, his voice growing more serious, "none of this would exist without the vision, courage, and investment of our owner. She is here with us tonight." Daniel immediately started looking around the room. He was searching for a wealthy older man, someone who looked like a tycoon. Ben continued, looking directly into the crowd. "She's been the heart of this house for 5 years. She works alongside us every day, in every role, to make this place special. So, it is my great honor to introduce you to her. Please welcome Chloe Bennett." Ben turned and gestured his hand straight toward me. Every single light in the room suddenly felt too bright. There was a moment of perfect silence. Then, every head in the room turned to look at me. Daniel's face went through a journey. First, confusion. His smile stayed frozen, but his eyes were blank. Then, understanding crashed into them. His smile melted away. His eyes widened in pure shock. His face lost all its color, turning a pale gray. I stood up smoothly. I gave the room a small, graceful nod of acknowledgement, and then I sat back down. I did not look at Daniel. The silence broke into a wave of whispers. The sound washed over our table. I heard pieces of conversations from nearby. "That's the owner? She's the hostess? I see her here all the time." He didn't know? Daniel sat completely frozen in his chair. He was a statue of shock. Next to him, Mr. Hill, his important client, looked from Daniel's pale face to my calm one. A look of keen, calculating interest replaced his earlier polite expression. The first course arrived. It was a beautiful winter soup. The sommelier brought a bottle of white wine to the table. He presented it to me, not to Daniel. "Ms. Bennett," he said respectfully. "A taste for your approval?" I took the glass, swirled it, smelled it, and took a small sip. I nodded. "Perfect. Thank you, Louis." Daniel watched this whole exchange. He watched as the staff treated me with obvious respect and authority. His own importance evaporated before his eyes. During the third course, a delicate fish, Mr. Hill cleared his throat. He turned his chair slightly toward me, away from Daniel. "Ms. Bennett," he began. "This is truly remarkable. The ambience, the food, the vision. It's incredible." I thanked him graciously. He continued. "My firm holds many client events throughout the year. I would love to discuss a corporate partnership with you. This is exactly the caliber we look for." Daniel's most important client was now offering a business deal to me, at the table, right in front of him. Daniel said nothing. He just stared at his plate. After Mr. Hill was pulled into another conversation, Daniel finally found his voice. He leaned toward me, his words a low, furious hiss. You humiliated me, he spat out. You set me up. You made me a complete joke in front of everyone. I took a slow sip of my wine. I looked at him, my gaze steady and calm. No, Daniel, I said quietly. You did that to yourself. You did it every time you mocked my work. You did it when you pretended not to know me. I just finally showed you what that work really is. You wanted to be around important people. You just never realized you were married to one. I excused myself from the table after the final savory course. I moved through the room, mingling with other guests. I saw Daniel from across the room. He was alone at our table. Mr. Hill was now deep in conversation with Ben and Antonio, laughing and exchanging cards. Daniel's night of triumph, the deal he wanted to close, had completely unraveled. His client had found a better partner. Before the dessert was even served, I saw Daniel stand up, throw his napkin on the table, and walk out of the restaurant without a word to anyone. Christmas morning was utterly silent and perfectly peaceful. Daniel had not come home. He was staying at a hotel. I sat by my Christmas tree, the one I had decorated myself with simple, beautiful ornaments. My phone buzzed. The early reviews for the gala were already online. They were glowing. One read, "The true magic was the revelation of owner Chloe Bennett's passionate, hands-on approach. A visionary." My email was full of catering inquiries and booking requests for next year. I sipped my coffee, wrapped in a soft blanket. He had mocked the hostess for years, never knowing she held the keys to the entire kingdom. My revenge wasn't loud or cruel. It was a beautifully plated, 7-course truth, served in the palace I built. And he was just another guest who didn't know the rules. That knowledge was the most satisfying Christmas gift I had ever received.